So good morning, friends. We are into the second day of Brand Fest 2024. We had lovely sessions yesterday. We have on the agenda today two workshops, and I'm very fortunate to have two dignitaries on the forum, Chirag and Aalap. And let me introduce Chirag, who is a close friend of mine as well as a stalwart in the advertising agency. He is the co-founder and director of Communication Crafts, a digital transformation agency catering to clients across the globe. With over 20 years of experience, Chirag has collaborated with brands across various sectors. Some of the renowned brands he has worked with includes Honda, Reliance, Airtel, Vodafone, Snapchat, United Nations, Google, Facebook, Government of UAE, and Government of India, to name a few. Chirag's thought leadership has been recognized in the top publications such as The Economic Times, Business Standards, The Hindu, The Times of India, and DNA. With his work and initiatives, Chirag has left an indelible mark in the world of advertising and branding. Welcome, Chirag, with us. One thing I should tell you, Aalap, to introduce Chirag, in Ahmedabad, he has got his office in the prime location,
Oh,
and he
wow.
has a signage which has text which keeps changing every day, like Amul ka hoarding hota hai na. So he
Oh, अरे वाह.
photographs out of it and they make it viral. That's the most innovative things which he has been doing since ages in his earlier office, but the new office is more visible, right? Chirag, compliment for that, yeah. It's a good thing which you are doing.
Thanks a lot, sir.
Yeah. So,
We've had it go viral couple of times.
ah,
Oh,
So it's
wow.
fun. It's an
you can't miss
interaction
it
with the
the way
city.
it's put
So
it, but
it is handled by you guys. मतलब the agency handles it.
yeah,
Yeah, so it's
Not a
right
brand.
outside our office.
Oh,
It's our window basically. We call it Witty Window, and our copy team kind of drives it. It's kind of our interaction with the city. It's so much fun. We get so many reactions from random people. It's amazing.
that's
yeah,
lovely. That's a lovely idea.
yeah.
That's
So Chirag,
actually
all
very
yours
good.
now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Well, thanks a lot, Sanjay sir, for that introduction. I've got a more difficult task than you had. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm really excited about having with us today Aalap Desai. He's the co-founder and chief creative officer at Together, an independent agency that is making big waves in advertising already in its very first year. Under Alap's leadership, Together has worked with India's biggest brands like Racket, Ultraviolet, and BGMI. The agency has also achieved remarkable milestones, including becoming the youngest Indian agency to win Cannes Lions within just 10 months, and the only independent agency to win the prestigious Glass Lion for its work on Harpic. Before Together, Alap was the chief creative officer at Dentsu, and before that, he served as the youngest national creative director at Isobar India. He co-led Dentsu Web Chandi Mumbai, where he spearheaded iconic campaigns such as Codename Uri, the 8-bit journal for Vice, and the world's most reported trailer for Thappad. Alap has also held creative roles at Disney Plus Hotstar, Leo Burnett, JWT, DDB Mudra, Ogilvy, and Ambience Publicis, building brands like McDonald's, Complan, Huggies, and MTV India. With over 300 national and international awards, including 14 Cannes Lions and 47 Spikes Asia wins, Alap is one of India's most awarded creatives. He has been featured in Brand Equity's Hottest Young Creatives 2014 and Impact Magazine's 30 Under 30. Alab has also served as a jury member for major awards in India and on international platforms like Spikes Asia and Cannes Lions. Beyond advertising, Alap has written feature film scripts, web series, and TV shows like MTV Sound Trippin'. His short film You Complete Me, which he wrote and directed, has won over 25 awards across festivals. So I can't think of a better person to have with us today on this very interesting topic of decoding the client briefs. Alap, decoding the brief, the single most important and often overlooked step in the whole process. If you want to create value and impact in a campaign, I think you have to get the brief right. So we can't wait to hear what you have to say, your insights on this particular topic. Please take us through this.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Chirag. And Sanjay sir. This introduction, no, is the most embarrassing part. I don't really like to talk about myself too much, but let me just quickly get the screen sharing. Just give me a minute, guys.
Sure.
So it is a very important part of how everything starts with a brief. Abhi to, can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah. And I can't see you guys, so someone will have to say something before I can like respond. Like if you have questions or something or anything, please say it because I can't see anyone. Okay, my screen is full screen. So I was saying that. So what happens is that a lot of times we are everything used to start with a brief. Okay, and the sharper the brief was, the better the work gets, because if you know where you have to shoot, you like shoot better, obviously, unless as compared to shooting in the dark. तो थोड़ा सा डिफरेंस आ जाता है ब्रीफ में. नाउ ओवर द years, since a lot of market, it's a shortcut, like you have to put your work in the brief, तो बहुत सारी चीजें हो जाती है. The presentation today that we have is on two. It's a two-way thing. What we'll also try to cover. So Together is my agency. Let me just get over this first. Together is my agency. I'm the co-founder. I have a lovely batch of people. I keep saying this, that I might be the poster boy for Together, but actually the agency is run by a lot of people, and I'm just the face because it was easier to make me the face. So a lot of people put in a lot of work. The two-way comms is something that I believe in. Like, it is not only the agency's work to deliver the brief, it is also the client to make a good brief. Okay. And both of them, when they put in, is when a good campaign happens. One-sided love na hota nahi hai. And somewhere on that fact is where Together also operates. We Together, by the name, is a combination, if you say so. And this collaboration and combination is what makes the world tick, is what we believe in at Together. I'll just play a small 1 minute video of how the philosophy of we comes alive in Together. This is just a video for that. Um, After this, I'll come to why I think, and since I'm the co-founder, Together also thinks that things can only be done well when they are done in sync. So this is just an intro video.
Sure.
First came I, every vein rife with I. When the heart beats solo, it leaves behind the hollow. With every eye, the mind sighs. It understands the limit and high brings, but the limits are also soothing. I removes the differential, makes you inconsequential. The T is in the D. It makes doubts flee, sets our best versions free, solves with efficiency. The mind knows I is where it starts, we is where we need to be, behind the I equation. Together.
So coming to this is why we are here. At every step of the so decoding the brief is the start of the project. Delivering the delivery is the end of the project. None of it can be done only by an agency, only by the client. They have to do it together. Um, the anti-I equation that we keep talking about at Together is when so now, because of COVID, because of different things, because it's the easier thing to do, people will start pushing the ball on other sides of the court. Client will say that ये तो agency का problem है. Agency will say कि client ने ऐसा नहीं करा. And that is where the whole equation gets complicated. Decoding the brief is understanding the task. He will talk about everything there is to decoding it, and on the client end and on the agency end. Delivering the delivery is the execution and the final launch. We will understand how clients and agencies need to work together and do that. This is basically what we'll do. We'll be decoding the brief. I'll be talking about different aspects as per. So I run a creative shop. So my entire presentation and every time I talk about things, they will be from a creative perspective, from how an agency needs to think, deliver, work with the client. What is the brief that the creative team needs to do it? That we'll do throughout that in this session. Like decoding the brief would be talking about everything that I have from experience, which is a bit, not too much, but जितना समझ में आता है उतना लिखा है about what all we need to ask, the questions that we need to ask, what are the things that we need to understand. The same thing with delivering the delivery. What are the problems that probably come during a execution phase? What are the challenges that come in when the launch is happening and stuff like that. We'll also be doing a workshop, and that workshop is that we will take a brief after we've spoken a bit about how to decode and deliver. We'll take a brief, discuss what the ideal creative from that brief should be, and then see the the creative that we've created at together we've created for that particular brief. Okay, there are two ways about it. We will take a brief and discuss or guess the output, and then see the piece that is the actual output. Okay, and the second thing is reversing the entire process. I will show you a piece that together has done, and we will try to arrive at the brief that would have gone into the system to make that happen. Okay, so we will go from left to right once and right to left once. That way what we'll understand, what I'm also trying to demonstrate is that what the creative, so this is also one thing that we should be very clear about, is that how you imagine it to be, a lot of times it's not going to be exactly how you imagined. There are a lot of stages that a creative or a launch or any kind of project goes through. Multiple stakeholders go through it. The more expensive it is, the more budgeted it is, the more people get involved. The more people that get involved, it keeps evolving. The first thing that we need to understand in life is that as a creative delivery partner, we are, as an agency is a creative delivery partner. Okay, delivery partner है हम लोग. We can't be obsessing with this is the version of the idea we had, and that is exactly how it's going to happen. We can't do that anymore because there are too many people involved. Okay, and everyone will have their say. I'm not saying that let your vision go. I'm saying learn to adapt, figure out what you like about your vision, and then keep that soul alive. Let the fringe around it evolve. Okay, so in the workshop session we will figure out from a brief how a creative is there, and from a creative how the brief is there, starting with decoding the brief. Now if you look at that statement, there are two things in that. There is decoding and then there is the brief. Okay, both are very important because there have been too many instances when I have seen a well-written brief, very well-written brief where everything is clear, everything is explained, but the team's version of that brief is completely wrong. Okay, the creative team understood the task wrong, hence the project became a critical thing because the rounds that happened, the presentations that happened became a problem. Decoding is the part which we will also talk a lot about, because I feel that a lot of agencies start decoding briefs in the way that they want the creative to be. Okay, not in the way that the creative needs to be. There's a difference. there's something I want, and hence I will start pushing the brief in a corner that is tarah ka idea is what will make it work. While the brief, now it's a square peg in a round hole. Okay, kahin na kahin it will create a problem. We have to also decode it right and make it feel naturally in that spot. Okay, brief writing is something that is an art. I can like talk about an hour on just writing a brief, but we'll also talk a bit about that. So decoding and brief appreciation. Okay, now this is an agency thing. It starts with whoever's receiving the brief. The first time that the project is mentioned, the servicing person who's talking to them or the team that's talking to them, asking questions, asking the right questions around it is a brief appreciation session that we have. We will take the brief, we will absorb the brief, and then we will actually sit and question as much of it as possible. Okay, कि कौन लोगों से बात कर रहे हो, which is the what is the what is the social societal status of the people. Can you give us a bad example? Can you tell us something that in a similar space some brand has done before that you like? Can you give us an example of something that a brand has done before in a similar space that you don't like? Okay, now brief appreciation is something that is critical for an agency. Let me take a step back. A lot of you people, and Chirag runs this space, and you will all understand that the biggest cost is or wastage of time is around man hours. Okay. You will
True.
put in five people thinking that these five people will figure out this project in 2 weeks. Correct? Those rounds that keep happening. Okay, those rounds of अरे आज क्रिएटिव बॉम्ब हो गया, अब नया क्रिएटिव बनाना है, that rounds is a system killer in my opinion. Okay, I think we can reduce those rounds by having one brief appreciation session at the start of the project. Whatever the brief is, you like it, don't like it, get on a call, okay, and question it. Put in as many questions. And what how I suggest we do this is take the brief, don't do the call today, do the call tomorrow, figure out all your questions, write them down on a piece of paper. Everyone in the team who's on that brief writes it down on a piece of paper. We get on a call with the client. We mentally prepare the client also that people are going to ask you questions. Okay. And then just have 1 hour of question and answer. I suggest, and in my experience, it's been fruitful, is that in the brief appreciation session, the creators should also sit. Okay,
Yeah.
don't take it when the brief comes. Don't get into processes after that. But when you're sitting there and you're understanding and realizing and asking questions, clarity will also come in your thinking. इसकी वजह से, इस clarity की वजह से, if we can remove 2 rounds from those 5 rounds that took us to reach the final completion, I think it's a worthwhile task. We will save at least a week if we appreciate the brief well. Is that something that I strongly believe in? Now, can anyone in the team do it? They can. Okay. But and can is this the only time when you can ask questions on the brief? No. As you work on it, more questions will come. Let Just try to get as many questions as you can on a piece of paper and ask all of them to the client in that one brief appreciation session. Build that into the timeline. Okay, कि हम लोग brief appreciation करेंगे 124 hours after the brief. What also this does is, since the client knows, like this happens in case of together, since the client knows that this unit will always do a brief appreciation session, they do their homework better. Okay, they know that there is going to be a Q&A after I send the brief to them, and that is why this brief that I send should answer most of my questions, is where they start operating from. Okay, very nicely. And because the creative is also sitting in that session, they also kind of get more involved in it. They apply themselves on the brief level rather than on the thinking level. कि मैंने तो ये सोच लिया because मुझे तो ये पता ही नहीं था कि ऐसा कर सकते हैं, वैसा कर सकते हैं. It just puts everyone on their toes. Now, just before I move on from this, I'm not talking about hygiene on this. Like, you can do a bigger level hygiene brief appreciation and see, and whatever, we can figure life. I'm talking about the hub and the hero ideas. Okay, bigger, biggest, and slightly larger ideas. If we start applying this has also happened to me. I did this with one of my units at Denso, and then within a week there was a lot of the system had become sluggish. Okay, हम लोग पोस्ट पे भी ये करने बैठ गए थे कि एवरी टाइम वी हैव अ कॉन्वर्सेशन, वी हैव अ ब्रीफ कि व्हाटएवर मदर्स डे का पोस्ट बनाना है, मदर्स डे के पोस्ट के लिए फिर अगले दिन हम लोग वो कर रहे हैं. अरे, so it affected delivery. I'm saying that do a larger conversation on hygiene, but just have this in hero and hub, because normally you'll have more time for that. Okay, client ki understanding. Now there are two things here. One, how much the client understands the task that they are giving is very important. There are too many briefs that we receive from the client end. यार ऐसा कुछ कर दो, ऐसा कुछ कर दो is, I think, the biggest problem, because everyone's time gets wasted. The client needs to understand what they want. They need to articulate what they want so that we can deliver what they want. Okay, they will have to figure out a way to express themselves. They will have to figure out a way to articulate themselves. They need to understand the brief first before we understand it. Okay, and it is very critical for clients to, if not, there'll be some projects that are in such a hurry that they will come with you कि अरे मुझे कल ये चाहिए, मुझे, and we need this day after tomorrow, and there is a topical that we need to respond to very quickly, so can we have a print ad doing that? All that will happen. Either articulate or explain it well, or be open for an open-ended conversation with the agency. Okay, you can choose only one of the two as a client. You cannot say that I will not articulate it well, but you have to be accurate in what you're saying. A lot of clients say that ऐसा कुछ कर दो, और फिर जब agency takes something like that, they will say that अरे this was not in our minds. Now, how do we understand what is in your mind unless you articulate it? So if you can articulate it, then articulate it. If you can't, then leave it to fate and hope that the agency is going to present something in a critical situation. Okay. It also brings me to the other meaning of the same expression, client understanding. On the agency end, we also need to understand if this client articulates it better, understands it better or not as a process. It's a business. We have to take the brief anyway. So it is the first point of contact that I feel is the biggest decision, the biggest change maker in this front. The servicing team. Okay. The servicing team needs to ask questions. Both questions. They need to understand if if a client can't explain, I feel that the best way to explain it is by giving examples. Okay. I want something which goes viral. A client servicing person can say that goes viral like Poonam Pandey. The client will say, no, not like that, not like that, not a fiasco viral. Correct. I want something that goes viral. Okay. So do you want to do something like Super Bowl ad? No, 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 no. That's too expensive. That is not something that we want. This. So what I'm trying to say is that if the client is not articulate, clear enough, and we do need to take the business, then the people that are handling the brief need to ask the right questions. They need to be trained. They need to be pushed to ask the right questions. By manner of elimination, we will have to reach a point where the clients now focus on one thing and that becomes the brief. बता नहीं पा रहे हैं ना तो निकालना पड़ता है. Okay. There will be a beautiful scenario where many times there is a very nicely and clearly articulated brief by a very good client, and we have asked the right questions and narrowed it down to something so sharp that the creative becomes wonderful. Loads of campaigns that I have are a combination of these two. All the good work, almost I can say, that is because of these two things coming together. Client भी sharp था, हम लोगों ने क्वेश्चन भी सही पूछे, अंडरस्टैंडिंग सही हुई, creative wonderful. A lot of times these will not happen, so we will have to understand and train ourselves better, is what I feel. What do you need from the brief? Okay, is something which is the aspirations bit. It is very important. The We receive a lot of briefs saying viral कर दो. वायरल कैसे कर दे, अब किस तरह का वायरल कर दे, इज अ वेरी बिग थिंग. तो the question that comes in is कि जैसे after you're presenting to a client on a brief that they've said that viral, they will only keep judging from the perspective कि ये viral होगा या नहीं होगा. Okay, now if you keep, like Oscar Wilde used to say this, that if you keep testing a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it's always going to fail. Okay. If the client is asking for something viral, if the client is asking for an award, a lot of our briefs also come in कि अरे हमें कुछ award जीतना है, कुछ कर लो. Those kind of things. We want to win a can, कुछ कर लो. Those aspirations, pinning down those aspirations is very important. Okay. Either encourage them or discourage them. Let's not get into saying कि हाँ award जीत जाएगा, and now we are discussing a सोशल पोस्ट और ये अवार्ड जीत जाएगा, हम लोग थम्स अप भी दे दिए. देन व्हेन द क्रिएटिव इज प्रेजेंटिंग, द क्लाइंट इज लुकिंग एट इट एंड सेइंग दैट ये तो अवार्ड नहीं जीतेगा. कैन अ पोस्ट विन इट? ऑफ कोर्स दे कैन विन इट. आई एम फ्रॉम द बिलीव दैट एनीवन, एनी काइंड ऑफ क्रिएटिव कैन डू इट. बट देन इस वाले पोस्ट में हमें सेल भी अनाउंस करनी है. ओके, देन ये सारी चीजें होनी. टेल देम दिस पोस्ट विल नॉट विन. इफ यू वांट टू विन, वी विल create something. We will take another brief, turn that into an award piece, turn that into a viral piece. Let's be realistic about the aspirations, because if the other side is not realistic about it, you have to make them realistic about it. Okay, it's not going to, all the work that we do is not going to go viral. All the work we do is not going to go win awards. Most of it is regular work. Let's be honest about it. If this brief is something that like that or not. सेल अनाउंस करती है ना, सेल अनाउंस करने में हो सकता है अवार्ड हो जाए, बट इस वाले में शायद नहीं होगा. लेट्स बी रियल अबाउट इट. द क्लाइंट्स नीड टू हैव देयर एस्पिरेशनल एक्सपेक्टेशंस इन प्लेस. जीत जाएगा तो बहुत अच्छा है. वी विल ट्राई आवर बेस्ट, वी विल डू व्हाटएवर वी कैन, वी विल डू अ गुड जॉब, बट लेट्स गेट दैट रियल. On the agency end, we have to stop looking at like a lot of, so क्या होता है, the more senior you get, at least network wise, independence में तो नहीं होता, but network wise, no, the more senior you get, you start dropping random things like whatever. MTV तो बहुत अच्छा brand है. We want the next big campaign from MTV. I handle MTV as a CD. Suddenly मेरे को बोल रहे हैं कि MTV पे कर दो. Now no one's getting into the groundwork of it and telling us telling me as a creative director on MTV that कैसे वो सॉल्व करने जो प्रॉब्लम्स अभी है. मे बी द क्लाइंट इज कॉम्प्लिकेटेड, मे बी द क्लाइंट डजंट इवन वांट द अवार्ड. उसको चाहिए ही नहीं, उसको बस MTV पे 5 पोस्ट निकालने. दे डोंट वांट एन अवार्ड, दे डोंट हैव द बजट्स फॉर एन अवार्ड. But there is a top level which is pushing down the need of an award. Okay, we have to be realistic about our aspirations also. Like on the agency end, we end up having such random aspirations around random briefs that the second you have that being reviewed. So as a creative director, I'll create it. So the client is asking me to do one small show launch. Okay, I used to work on MTV, that's what I'm saying. They'll, it's an exciting brand, but मुझे हसल को प्रमोट करना है. ठीक है, डन. कैसे प्रमोट करना है? We just need 10 posts that go out every week to the countdown of the start of the show. ठीक है, डन. Now my CCO is telling me इसमें स्कैन मारना है. ओके, अब कैन कैसे मारोगे? वो तो उसकी एस्पिरेशन है. हसल में क्लाइंट बोल रहा है कि मुझे 10 पोस्ट दे दो. You have to, we have to also tell our seniors on the client end से तो ठीक है, on the agency and also we need to be real about this brief is not that one. We'll create a brief, we'll maybe work with the client if you find something interesting and then go for it. Aspirations on both ends need to be realized and understood. The only time I have ever won an award on a live brief, मतलब in terms of कि कुछ brief आने वाला था and ऐसा हो गया था, is when every side was clear about what they wanted. I wanted a can, they wanted a can. We looked at the entire work as a thing. अब उन दोनों के बीच में, alignment के बीच में अगर गड़बड़ होती है, the presentations are going to go into rounds. Okay, both sides need to be open and understood. वो बिलीव करता है, हम बिलीव नहीं करते, प्रॉब्लम. हम बिलीव करते हैं, वो नहीं बिलीव करता, प्रॉब्लम. Get the aspirations right around the brief. And all of this happens in that brief appreciation session that I was talking about. The task is very important. We have this joke in, and I keep quoting this to different clients, that a project, no, an advertising project, is like a car. Okay, imagine the analogy of a car. There is only one driver, but 5 people can sit in it. Okay, if all 5 start driving the car together, it will crash. Only one person needs to drive the car. Taking this analogy, what is the one thing that the brief needs to do? Who is in the driver's seat? We can have 5 passengers, or 4 passengers. But what is that one thing which is the primary thing? The client will always try to say that हमें तो सेल भी अनाउंस करना है, हमें उसी में ब्रांड लव भी जनरेट करने हैं, शेयर ऑफ वॉइस भी हो जाए और वायरल भी हो जाए, सब कुछ एक ही ब्रीफ में कर देना है. इट डजंट वर्क लाइक दैट. If we successfully implement this, the creative of this will be so confusing that it just floats. पता भी नहीं चलता किसी को. We have to pin the task down, and this is for the clients and for the agency, कि एक जॉब है जो प्राइमरी है, वो हम लोग करेंगे. Now I have worked enough to understand that this is easier said than done. ये एक स्लाइड पे अच्छा लगता है, यहाँ पे रॉक पंप कर रहा है, बट क्लाइंट्स तो ऐसे बोलते नहीं. क्लाइंट्स तो बोलेंगे that there will be like 5 things that we need to do and all of that. In my experience, a good way to do that is show a creative which has, if they're hell-bent on saying 5 things or 3 things in the creative, show a creative which has all of them. Okay, and show a creative which has the most important one as the forefront, and then put both of them in the deck. Okay, sometimes it also happens that clients don't imagine it well. We are saying that एक idea, एक चीज होनी चाहिए, एक task होना चाहिए, एक task होना चाहिए, but maybe they can't imagine what this task means and how it translates into a headline or a body copy or whatever, a post copy or something, right? Put that in the deck I can tell you that once everyone sees the difference, that there is one creative which is starting with a primary task and everything else is just an add-on, and one which has 5 primary tasks, that the headline is talking about 5 things, the creative is talking about 3 things and stuff like that. They will end up choosing the one with one task in the primary seat, because it will always be more clearer. And when you see them together on a slide, you compare the two and understand as a client. Initial, now, does that mean that we increase the creative wastage? That is what it will start with. And this is a bit of hit and try that I've done in my experience. You start with this thing कि हम लोग ना ऐसे दो करेंगे. After a point, no, there is a trust that will be built with the client, and they will start understanding the single-minded task that you want them to define. So you present, and every client has their journey, right? You present something, they choose the one with a single-minded focus. You present another two, जिसमें एक में मल्टीपल है और दूसरे में ये है सिंगल माइंडेड है, and then they choose the single minded one. The third time, no, they will also start figuring out ki acha, this is the single minded thing. You will have, trust me, after the third or the fourth one, if you successfully ran this exercise, you've actually trained the client in defining one singular task, and that has worked well. Third, fourth, fifth, say na, you will stop doing this two things ka exercise. And this has actually happened. Like the most confused clients, through this exercise, we have gotten them into a habit of defining one singular task. It's a subjective fight, na. So until you prove your point, it will always remain subjective. You can't do it in most of the time. You can't do it in a conversation. You have to show it in a way. Creative wastage hoga starting mein, but it will save a lot of the creative wastage that happens in the future. If you don't train them by showing them examples, they will keep doing this. And then you'll keep saying that मैं तो पहले ही बोल रहा था, मैं तो पहले ही बोल रहा था कि ये एक चीज होनी चाहिए, मैं तो पहले ही बोल रहा था. वैसे नहीं होता है. जो होता है वो दिखाओ, ताकि क्लाइंट भी वो बोलने लगे जो आप बोल रहे हो. So that is the thing. Bandwidth is very important in decoding a brief, because we are mostly stressed. Agency is mostly stressed, or there are 5 projects going on, and yeah, and more and whatever. When you're decoding the brief and you're figuring out what to do with it, please also consider bandwidth. Bandwidth on the client's end, bandwidth on your end. Because if you have decoded the brief, you also need to look at delivery. If the bandwidth is of one film to be made, okay, and you decoded the brief to making 5 films, when you come to the delivery end, it's going to complicate your life. If you have 5 shoots already in the pipeline, while decoding the brief, decide or set expectations around कि एक ही film बनेगी, 5 नहीं बनेगी. Think of only one film, and then present also only one film. If you present 5 films and then figure out that you can't pull them off, that is unfair with the brief. So bandwidth hai, please figure out bandwidth. The same thing happens on the client end also. The client end has more campaigns live on their brand than you do. They know that ये वाले के साथ कुछ तो sales collab कर रखा है, ये वाले के साथ ये कर रखा है, वो वाले के साथ वो कर रखा है. While decoding the brief, also figure out कि if the client even has the bandwidth to invest that much time in the creative that you're suggesting. See, it also, if it's a very client intense involvement wise intense, कि अरे we will do this, the client is figuring out the collab, the client is figuring out कि कुंभ मेले में कैसे शूट करेंगे and all that jazz, no? Their bandwidth also needs to be figured out. Only if they can do it, no, go into a complicated idea. Nahi to, if they also don't have the bandwidth, we also don't have a bandwidth. Decode the brief to a point where we will do this minimum and then deliver it well, rather than complicating all of it up. This is very important because we treat every brief as one thing, one off, and then we end up complicating our lives कि अरे अब तो यहाँ पे भी 5 बोल दिए, वहाँ पे भी 5 बोल दिए, ना ही client उसमें involve हो पा रहा है, ना ही हम लोग हो पा रहे हैं, and then it's in this weird space where we just delivering what is needed rather than delivering what should be done, right? So that is one thing. Now I've been talking so I just put one piece that I feel was a very complicated thing that we did. This is a interesting digital piece that we had created out of Chatli Bombay, the 8-bit journal. The the brief was to do something interesting, like it's like a typical brief. Vice told us that we need to do something interesting which appeals to the youth of India. Okay. And they said that we don't have money. हमारे पास पैसे तो ज़्यादा है नहीं. हमारे पास न्यूज़ पोर्टल है. We have a nice reach in terms of our digital platform. Do something interesting that makes the youth of India talk about us and subscribe to our channel and pay for whatever and look at it more so that we can run money from advertisement and stuff like that. This is a very cheap idea. Cheap in terms of execution cost, very high on thinking cost. Was a complete nightmare in terms of execution, because it depends on the government of India. Just look at it and then we'll discuss the project.
Everything gets cut off. All forms of communication go away. At first, you think it's an error. Then you think it's just today. And then you realize today is just the first day. Kashmir blackout 30 days. Homes became prisons. The silence was there to stay. The youth was cut off from the world. Every little news they wanted was over a night taken away. Kashmir blackout 50 days. No internet, no calls, no SMS, no nothing. News to the Kashmiris could not find its way. The silence kept growing, and the days began to fade. Kashmir blackout, 100 days. 101, 102, 103. A group was working away, waiting for a chance to reach the Kashmiris and tell them things are still okay. And they did find a way. On the 142nd day, it's the 8-bit journal, they say, the world's first SMS news service during a blackout. We curated a list, collected all that they missed, converted it all into pixel art, checking it on devices of all sorts, and sent it to Kashmiris the very day their SMS start. A simple SMS service they could subscribe on the go. It's a gesture for everyone suffering to say they're not alone. They're not away from the world or locked in a cave. We reached out to millions of them, each beep making the silence fade. We even helped justice find its way. Kashmir blackout, 10th of January, 2020, 158 days.
India's Supreme Court has ordered the government to restore the internet in Kashmir, ruling that the communication shutdown was unconstitutional.
That's how the tech of yesterday connected a generation today.
I think I'll stop for a bit here. So this is a piece that was cheap because it involves SMS portals, which is like 10 paise per SMS. Set it up, ज़्यादा costly लगा. The execution was very tricky because because the government of India kept changing the dates of the blackout being released and stuff like that. The client was aligned, the client was with us, made sure that even in the middle of the night they were available. The team was very kicked about the idea, so the team was available. Everyone was on the same page. Did a lot of rounds, did a lot of awards as one can, and whatever. So वो सब है. Now a lot of monologue. I like, as people tell me, I like to talk a lot. Any question? I think we should break for a second for any questions that you guys have. Do you want to do that, or should I continue and do the other section also, and then we can do questions later?
Whichever way it works for you, Alap. If you want, we can take up some in between questions. You want to catch a breath or something?
If something, then because it's better to also take a break from me talking all the time. तो अच्छा
Yeah.
boring होगा. हाँ, yes, please, if there are any questions.
Yes, guys, please go ahead in case you have any questions.
We can do.
For me,
Yes, please. Please, Chirag.
yeah, I
Yes.
just one of the things that you mentioned that really hit me quite hard. So you mentioned that when we decode the brief, often we decode it in a way, the way we want the output to be, rather than how it should be. So I think that is very sharp insight, and I think that happens a lot.
Yeah.
Specifically when you have multiple creatives, getting uh, the idea, the question from the client that what we can do.
Yeah.
Everybody's thinking in the direction which is kind of their own comfort
Correct.
zone, or they
Correct.
think how this should unfold. So
Yeah.
that was quite insightful. Do you have is there anything that you use within
Figure
your
this out.
team? Yeah. To
That's
break
that's a very tricky space. So, as a creative lead, no, what I do is I start figuring out. So, like a emotional client, if given to a team which cracks a fun script every single time you brief them, or a fun campaign, or a interactive campaign when you need them, हर बार that mismatch no will create a problem every single time. ओके,
right.
बिकॉज उन लोगों ने बोला है कि भी हमें टीयर जोकर चाहिए, इन लोगों को टीयर जोकर बनाना नहीं आता, ये लोग हमेशा फनी एंड पनी काम करेंगे, तो दैट इज अ प्रॉब्लम. What at least I did was when I took over Chutney, and then later all the teams also, I started bifurcating the account not as per the requirement or the bandwidth. I started bifurcating accounts as per the talent brief, talent that was on the brief. Say for example, if
Right.
the team had the sense of humor to deliver an MTV, the MTV kind of accounts will only go to that team. Now what happens is that we end up playing on their strengths all the time,
Yeah.
so that they can also do things, they're good at, basically. सो मैं क्रिएटिव टीम के हिसाब से अकाउंट्स डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करता हूँ इन द यूनिवर्स rather than the other way around. So we don't do at the chutney mein, we weren't, it was a big system, that's why I'm giving chutney. We were never looking at a way that कि ये client brief आ गया कौन सा team लेगा. Okay. Brief
Correct.
appreciation में या first point of contact पता चल जाता है they need a funny thing, no? So this is the team that you have. Now that only happens when you've mapped it in your head as a manager कि funny वाला ये करेंगे. After a point, now this also created a complication, which I learned later, that after a point, no, the funny team had all the funny campaigns, and the emotional team had all the emotional campaigns. Now the emotional team is saying that हमें भी तो funny करना है. And the funny team is saying हमें भी तो emotional करना है. So that is where pitches के time पे है ना, I would give them like pitches में you are also like filtering everything out and stuff like
True.
that. Yeah, give them a project which is a slightly easier project कि चलो तुम लोग एक ही emotional ये वाला कर लो. So they also start getting fatigued by it. But then thoda project देंगे. So their primary work will remain on their strengths. The floating projects, if they ask for it, I've never given this proactively. They come to me and say that, "Arey Aalap, mere pure portfolio mein only funny work is there. People are saying that I only know how to crack jokes. What do I do now?" Like, "अच्छा, ठीक है, ये वाले पे ये कर ले." That also happens. But mostly this solves the problem. Like 90%
Yes.
of the problem got solved by mapping it to talent rather than two briefs floating around the system. कोई भी उठा ले, वैसे नहीं. Talent जो deliver कर सकता है वो उठाएगा. Does that answer your question?
Yes,
Confused.
it does. It does. Playing to people's strengths, yeah, it
Correct.
totally makes sense. But yeah, like you said, so this invariably ultimately results into a place where somebody would say, "यार एक ही तरह का work मेरे को मिल रहा है."
Correct. They will not say that, like, as manager, you head a place, so you own a place, right? They will never say कि मुझे ये आता नहीं है.
हाँ,
Correct. Their thing is कि मेरे पास ये missing है.
हाँ,
Correct. अब you
true,
can't
true,
tell them that you can't crack this brief. How do I give this to you if you can't crack it?
true,
Right? There is a risk involved
true.
in it. So I do the low risk projects with that. And if they do it, and some of them have surprised me also. Like, everyone's the creative, So they crack a beautiful thing. I also learned that the funny team is not only funny, they are also emotional.
Yeah,
Then
yeah,
it's on them. Then they get more. और क्या करूं मैं? Right? There
true.
has to be a roadmap to this. Everyone wants to do everything all the time and win all the awards
True.
and win all the viral campaigns. Everyone wants to do everything, and there has to be a
Yeah,
process, right? So yeah,
absolutely. Guys, do we have more questions at this point, or should we continue? Should we ask Alap to continue?
We can continue.
ठीक है, चलो.
If any
Okay,
questions,
that's
you
good.
can put it on the chat box and then we can take it.
Yeah, that's all. That
Yeah.
also works. That also works.
Yeah.
Just give me a second. I'll start sharing again. Now coming to the second part, delivery. So again, two parts to it: delivering and delivery. Delivering is so that I believe that there are two things to this sentence is that the the way to going about it or the planning of it or the the roadmap is as important as what is the destination. The journey is as important as the destination. Delivering is the journey, delivery is the destination. Okay. Now, when it comes to now, you've understood the brief and you've done all that. Now, I'm coming to the second part of this universe, which is delivering and delivery. The most important thing is to get it done. We can decode the brief all we want, understand what all we want. We have to get it done if we've committed to it. Okay. And it can be because a lot of things are connected to it, like the presence of the brand is connected to it, the media investments are connected to it. The client ends up losing a lot of money because you didn't deliver that one piece that you had to deliver. Okay. That in turn will create a big problem because then they will lose faith in the relationship and yeah and more and whatever. Next time they'll start micromanaging you and stuff like that. Getting it done is very important. किसी भी like I'm not saying that compromise on quality. I'm saying delivery is very important. We need to acknowledge that अगर थोड़ा सा compromise हो रहा है to get a slightly more interesting piece out, a slightly less interesting piece out, do it because the next campaign with the same client might not happen because this time we did not deliver. Okay, you want a good client to give you a good brief. छोटा डिलीवर करते हैं, एक रिलेशनशिप बनाते हैं, and then aim for the big one. Like the second you have a good client, you will not be able to get a big brief out. It is a process, one step at a time. Get it done a few times, it will build trust, will get your thing done in the next 5 times. A lot of people on the client end will leave कि अब ये एजेंसी का प्रॉब्लम है, मैंने ब्रीफ दे दिया है, होते हैं वैसे. If you can't finish the project because of a client end issue, please make sure that it is on mail, it is on process. हमारे एंड से गड़बड़ नहीं हुई है, ये डिले या हुआ ही नहीं है because it was other end problem. I'm not saying mudslinging. This is not mudslinging. In the end of it, when the project doesn't get delivered, no, we are all going to sit and analyze what happened. Okay, we need to be clear about defining the problem that happened. Is if nahi deliver hua hai na kuch, we need to figure out, one, get it done at whatever cost we can. If it's not done, we need to figure out the problem and not repeat it, because this is the thing that piles up and then becomes a problem later. Like this is, in my opinion, a relationship ender with the client. Like getting it done. Did you get it done or not? Does that mean you lose work-life balance over it? No. You plan it better, and that's where the second thing comes in. There is planning, which is delivering, and then following the plan. We can make all the Excel sheets on. So this is what we do, that we will create a Excel sheet पे we'll create a plan about the flow. 21st को first round, 22nd को 21st को brief, 22nd को brief appreciation, first presentation on the 5th, ऐसे टाइप का एक प्लान बनता है. That plan, okay, can be made as much as you want on a piece of paper or on an Excel sheet or in a Word document or on an email. It has no value till you follow it. Okay. I think that I make the creative team sit in the planning. Like a lot of times we tell servicing people to make them, and servicing team will make it. And फिर वो plan बन गया है, client के साथ share हो गया है. Now the creative team has questions that, अरे, you didn't factor in that one thing that is coming in, or that one. Sit and make it with the servicing team, then share it with the client. The client needs to be aligned to this. We can't be questioning the plan after it's been shared. This is where you also build in your work-life balance to get it done. Say that ये इसमें weekend आ रहा है, weekend नहीं करेंगे. We will do 2 meetings over the weekdays rather than 1 meeting on a Monday to 3 meetings on a Monday. Figure your work-life balance on this part. The bigger thing is to follow it. Okay, at Together we have a rule that if a plan has been made and a change to that plan needs to be done, everyone will get on a call and we will have a discussion. मैं उसके बिना मैं plan change ही नहीं करता हूँ. If we are saying that 22nd को script जानी है और 23rd को जा रही है, someone needs to explain that we have done everything. I make it slightly painful in changing the plan. The second I have made it painful in changing the plan, people tend to follow the plan. जब तक everyone thinks that this plan is just a piece of paper and we can move like 25 degrees left and right, no one is going to follow the plan. That is how it is. That is how we are wired. There is a lot of stress. There are a lot of deliveries. Sit and make it with a calendar, because factor in the weekdays, factor in the Christmas holidays, factor in your birthday, factor in that shoot that is happening, everything, and make a plan. Now, if we keep going to the client saying that वो जो 22nd को script आनी थी ना, वो 25th को आएगी अब, the client will also say that जो 26 को approval आना था वो अब 28th को आएगा. It is like a virus that kind of spreads around. If no one is following the plan, no, then everyone takes the liberty of not following it. That is when, in the last 5 days, when you're actually intensely getting it done, all of it piles up. Approval भी नहीं आया है, script भी lock नहीं हुई है, वहाँ पे ये भी बन रहा है, whatever. All of that piles up. Planning it well and then following the plan is very important. Okay. Then there is a rollout. Okay, I think when you and the user journey, I think the delivery, we say that the campaign goes live on the 2nd of Jan. Okay. We start arguing that, Arey, last week of December, to, and you, at least when I started doing this, I realized that 2nd of Jan को campaign जाना है. For the past 1 week, we are fighting that 2nd of Jan को नहीं जाएगा, 10th of Jan को जाएगा. Okay. And when you actually break it down, no, you understand that only one post needs to go on the 2nd of Jan. The main film asset needs to go on 10th of Jan. So give that one. If it's such a big fight, no, give that one post. No, I'm saying that you get, if you make the rollout and the user journey in place, you have the rollout and the user journey in place, you will figure out ways in the planning where a very simple asset can be rolled out. Like this slide seems very obvious, and I'm sure a lot of you are already doing it, but the campaign rollout plan kar lete na, we realize that we already have 2 weeks, and we will end up saving the 1 week that we've been fighting for the campaign go live date. 1 week तक लड़ाई चलती है. We will do it on 2nd. No, we need to do it on 10th. That back and forth goes for a week. You will save that week if you have the rollout and the user journey in place. Think of how it's going to look to people and do it, and then backtrack it to a point where आराम से हम लोग एक पोस्ट निकाल देंगे. अगर काउंटडाउन पोस्ट बनाना है, टीजर बनाना है, वो सब करके पुट दैट इन द प्लानिंग. आई फील दैट प्लानिंग में डाल के हम लोग बहुत सारी चीजें निकाल लेते हैं फ्रॉम अ क्रिएटिव प्लानिंग पर्सपेक्टिव. Like there are lots of solutions that we can put in. Like say for example, to get the entire film ready is more difficult than getting first or 5 seconds. Say for example, if a digital film is going out, needs to go out on the 10th, you know that Ranveer Singh, and if it features Ranveer Singh walking through a door and saying that, "Arey, ye kya tha?" which is a part of the film. Getting that part ready and putting it out as a teaser, then "Arey, ye kya tha?" and then saying that whatever, what is Ranveer wondering about, is easier to do than getting the entire film out. Think about those kind of things. कि मैं rollout में मैं वो डाल दूंगा, and then that teases people. I can put up one post 3 days later, and then the main film which I need another week to finish 10 days later. The rollout and the user journey actually makes a big difference on the delivery end. Now we have to also understand the client. Kitna, and I'm talking about bare bone conversations, like how much do they even understand the process that the delivery is going to get into? Have they ever done a full-fledged social campaign before? Have they ever done a TVC release before? Do they even realize कि कितना time लगने वाला है to do the 15 languages that they need it in? Because if we don't ask those questions, we don't have that understanding, no? There will be times when we will reach a point where physically, when a job takes 5 days to finish, say for example, languages karni hai, 15 languages karni hai of the film. It takes 3 to 4 days to do that on a film, any kind of film. If the client doesn't know this, they will expect कि 1 day में हो जाएगा. Unless we have this understanding at the start of this process that the client doesn't understand all this, we will always be in trouble. And that'll keep happening on different things. If they've never made a film, please understand that before you start making a film, so that there is understanding. Then when you share the plan and the timeline, say put in one day extra. थोड़ा 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 ज़्यादा करते रहो, Taki, they need time to process and learn. They will also build that in. It is very important to understand their pros and cons of having this particular client on this particular project. It's okay. Everyone's not done everything. Na? Let's have that understanding and build it into the system so that we can plan life better. Planning life better is the game. And now the last thing is patience and resilience. If you have a good campaign in place, okay, everyone, this is what I started with. There are so many stakeholders, there are so many people adding to it, subtracting from it, saying that this can happen, that can happen. Don't try to save everything. What you love about it is the soul that you're attached to. Just protect that. If someone wants one post in that 1 week campaign that is a sales post and pushes out a coupon code, please give it to them. Don't get into the fight as long as the bigger soul or bigger idea is in place. Okay, that is fine. Do incorporate everyone so that what you need floats through. And it takes a lot of patience and resilience. You see, I get a lot of team members keep telling me that it's very frustrating to get this campaign out with this client. And बहुत सारे rounds होते हैं, बहुत सारा ये होता है. Just look at the end goal when this campaign comes, and if it's a campaign worth fighting for, um, when this campaign comes out, how will you feel? Just concentrate on that. That is what gets me through it. Everyone has these problems. I get through it thinking that when this gets into the world, it will be wonderful. I will be proud of it. I will share it. I will want to share it. And that those kind of things, when you start looking at it like that, no, अपने आप patience और resilience आ जाते हैं. Also, it's over years you'll get better at it. So वो चीज is something that I think we need to build in, because a lot of young people are coming into the system, which is great. Then because they're new thinking, patience and resilience needs to come in from the top. Like if in meetings managers start talking, losing patience and losing resilience, ये कितना खराब है, ये ऐसे, everyone, it flows from the top. I think this happens on a lot of fronts on a managerial level. I feel that managers need to reflect this most. And this is happening on both sides of the spectrum. If the client side, when the manager starts creating panic, loses patience, loses resilience, everyone under them will start creating panic. This is something that needs to come in as an example, as a learning from the top. If you're also screaming, everyone under you will start screaming. That is how it happens. Right? It's like babies. How one baby cries in a crash, everyone cries. वैसा वाला थोड़ा. So we have to look at it. It flows from the top. We can't lose patience. We can't lose resilience. And then we live with it. So this is on the delivery end. I have one piece here again to play. It's called Nemuri. Interesting piece. We got this out, and let me talk about it after I've played the video.
The problem of piracy continues to plague the Indian film industry. Losses are estimated to run into crores of rupees.
Despite several anti-piracy campaigns, the law remained unchanged for 67 years. Uri, a movie on the verge of release, was dreading the same fate. Therefore, for a film based on the Indian Army's covert op, we carried out a covert strike on piracy. Presenting Codename Uri, a campaign that helped change an Indian piracy law in just 22 days. On the day of the movie's release, we uploaded a leaked version of the movie on several torrent websites in the most widely downloaded formats and continuously seeded them to keep them at the top of the torrent search results. As the word got out, a social conversation started. But when people downloaded the movie, they saw a real certificate, same actors from the movie, but not the real movie.
सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक 0400 आवर्स पे स्टार्ट होगी उनकी आमी को पता भी नहीं चलेगा कि क्या हुआ।
ठीक उसी तरह जैसे इस वक्त हम आपकी स्क्रीन में घुस गए हैं। पिक्चर देखिए गर्व से थिएटर में जाकर।
Almost everyone who downloaded this fake movie expressed themselves on social media. On an average, it was downloaded 20,000 times from every website. The press, film journalists, and influencers started covering it.
Those who tried to torrent the film got instead a message from the film's actors.
On the 7th day, we caught the attention of the Indian Prime Minister.
साथियों, एक विषय मेरे सामने आया है और वो है पायरेसी और इसे रोकने के लिए सरकार सिनेमेटोग्राफ अधिनियम 1952 में बदलाव करने की दिशा में तेजी से कदम उठा रही है।
Cabinet today has amended the Cinematography Act 1952, making penal provisions for unauthorized duplication of films through digital means, leading to 3 years jail term or 10 lakh fine.
The campaign also generated $1.5 million in earned media, 730,000 engagements. Sometimes you break a law to make a law.
So Uri,
The problem of
before we move on to this, Uri was a sudden campaign at the least. We presented the idea like a week back, and धीरे they started doing things in terms of कि अभी आएगा approval आया नहीं. This is on the 22nd, and we were relentlessly on it. Ki अच्छा idea, we have to get it in the universe. 22nd of December, 24th of December, 22nd of December evening, the approval came for this idea. Vicky Kaushal and Yami Gautam's dates were 25th of December, where no production house shoots. Okay. Now getting it done wala part one process. We figured out production, we figured out this, there were no directors available, so मैंने ही direct करके निकाल लिया. And then eventually whatever, getting it done. I'm just trying to say that, getting it done. And the timelines of it were not, like the entire plan that we had for it went for a toss. What I'm trying to say here is that everything that I've just spoken about delivery and planning and everything, please be ready for it not to happen also. But the first slide is what is most important, that we need to, if you feel there is a good idea, you can't throw a fit around it, like spoil the energy around it, and you have to make sure that that happens. Chala jaiye, nikalna chahiye. I have seen so much work. So much of my work is in presentations that I feel is wonderful. और बहुत सारा निकला ही नहीं है. Now that is a problem. Things in a PPT or a Word document are as good as never created. Okay, कुछ मतलब नहीं है. Get it out, get it in the universe. So that is where I feel is it's a good thing that that ye ho. Yeah. So that's on the delivery end. If we need questions, we have questions. I think someone put up a question. How do you manage to manage situations where the client keeps saying, "Arey, ye to roz ka hai." That is the brief appreciation and the questions that we keep following with. That is why I spent so much time on the brief appreciation bit. That is what I was also trying to say when the first point of contact needs to ask questions. If they keep changing the brief, they are actually, बताओ मैं क्या होता है? This is my understanding and my reading. I don't think they're changing the brief, they're changing the expectations. I feel that the sale still needs to happen. Okay. The sale needs to happen on the 23rd of December. The sale creative needs to go out on the 23rd of December. What they keep changing is, that is the requirement. What they keep changing is how the sale creative is happening. हमें एक viral ad चाहिए for the sale creative. जब viral present करेंगे, they will say that, oh, we need something which is slightly more serious. This is what we refer to as change of brief. This is what will get addressed, at least in our case, 90% of the time when you start giving them examples. ऐसा चाहिए, ऐसा चाहिए, ऐसा चाहिए. Even before you start presenting, they will kind of narrow it down. Hence, this process has led to me at least removing a lot of creative wastage from the initial questioning removes a lot of creative wastage, hence situation, and also ends up creating situations where the client doesn't keep changing the brief. हम लोग इतना so in that together no we make the brief such a big thing to discuss, which it should be, that चेंज होने के थोड़ा कैपेसिटी कम हो जाता है. इतना हल्ला करते हैं ना हम लोग कि वो कैपेसिटी कम हो जाता है थोड़ा चेंज करने का. विल इट चेंज? ऑफ कोर्स इट विल. वो तो हैं कुछ क्लाइंट्स वैसे ही हैं, बट द रियलिज्म ऑफ इट इज कि हाउ डू यू हैंडल इट बेटर. नन ऑफ दीज इज आर सॉल्यूशंस टू प्रॉब्लम्स दैट वी हैव. दीज आर जस्ट वेज टू हैंडल इट बेटर. और कुछ नहीं है. कम दर्द कम करने की चीजें हैं ये, दर्द हटाने की चीजें नहीं है ये. लेट बी ऑनेस्ट.
Alap, on the lighter side, I remember two of the incidents which I thought of writing on the book, which I'll again write it. One of the clients many years back is telling my executive कि आप ad बनाना चालू करो, brief तो हम थोड़ी देर में भेजते हैं.
करेक्ट. ऐसे थोड़ी होता है. ये मेरे पास भी आया है. ब्रीफ भेज रहे हैं हम लोग. आप काम पे चालू करो. काम पे चालू करो.
Many times, Chirag, you will believe कि अरे you have been involved in the brand so much, आप brief की क्या जरूरत है, आपको पता ही होगा.
हाँ, अरे ये तो बहुत आता है. अरे यू तो नो एक्स बाय जी ब्रांड. यू स्टार्ट वर्क. वही करना है. किस में आता है पता है? ऑन लास्ट ईयर यू डिड अ वेरी नाइस विमेन्स डे कैंपेन. रिमेंबर? या आई रिमेंबर. यू डू अ नेक्स्ट वन. मतलब वही करना है अब की बार. यू नो द ब्रांड, यू नो द ब्रीफ, यू नो एवरीथिंग. लेट्स स्टार्ट वर्किंग. नो, इट डजंट वर्क लाइक दैट ना. इफ यू वांट दैट सेम थिंग बिल्ट अगेन, then run that only. ना, why are you wasting money in making a new one? Tell me why you need to make a new one. ये क्या तरीका है?
Yeah.
ठीक है.
Anybody has a question or we can move ahead? Yeah.
फनी है क्लाइंट. कभी कभी क्लाइंट फनी है. एजेंसी वाले भी बहुत फनी होते हैं सर. तो ऐसा नहीं है. हम लोग कोई दूध के दुनिया नहीं है. हम लोग भी सब कार्टून.
Do you use any format for creating the brief or?
We have a format, but are more na. So I have taken, so everyone at least let me put it like that. Together mein everyone is someone we've worked with, or if it's a junior, we've trained them. So in our case, it's more about the soft skills than the format. Basically, जैसे ही कोई भी ब्रीफ आएगी ना, सारे के सारे जो क्वेश्चंस पूछते हैं ना, वो ट्रेनिंग इज द सॉफ्ट स्किल दैट वीव डन मोर. And so in our also, like, let me put it how that is a sustainable system. Together, my vision of together is not कि हम लोग है ना we'll become 500 people in 5 years. Our vision is we will become 100 people in 5 years, and those 100 people will just charge more for the work. So premiumization में हम लोग जा रहे हैं. Like we don't want to become 500 people. When you run with something like that, then you can pick and choose and train people. कि जिसके साथ मैंने इतने साल में बहुत टाइम निकाला है. He knows the servicing head that I will next hire knows the kind of questions that I will ask. Okay, the second I have to hire only 5 servicing heads in the next 5 years, no? I know I can choose the people that understand. They will end up asking those questions, and then that solves the problem for together in the long run. Now that is for an agency that will not intentionally, as of now at least, choose not to scale. Now there are agencies that will choose to scale. So there has to be a process of how you train people, how you make them ask questions, how you make them. A lot of the clients ke juniors are sending briefs as just mailing it across. Okay. And then our people also just forward the mail. Correct. A lot of ये forwarding of mail है ना, जो कि सबको सिर्फ फॉरवर्ड ही करना है, तो फिर कोई पूछता ही नहीं है. एंड सडनली क्रिएटिव के पास आ गया और 25 क्वेश्चंस हैं that are not answered and it needs to be delivered next week. Correct. Forwarding the mail is not acceptable only. Don't forward me the mail. So that is where we operate. There is a format, but it's the questions that get us there, not the brief format. I truly believe that.
Okay, there's one more question. Let's take it up. I think 2 more. what's one mistake you've learned the most from when dealing with the client brief? So let me expand this a little bit. Tell me one brief that you really learned a lot from, whether it was a good, great brief or a very poor brief.
Yeah. So I think so ये जो CCO वाला जो issue नहीं था that I was talking about, the CCO wants to do something brilliant on this. I have done this. I have learned that is me. That CCO is me. Okay. That I was trying, not just telling you never to become. That is me in the past. So there was we won MTV. Okay. And MTV जैसे मिलता है, everyone is very happy. Okay. MTV wants to do show के promos. MTV doesn't want to do big ideas. For a month on that, I have asked the team to make the decks. See, there's also one thing that I keep trying to hit the nail in the hope, that is how I work at least. I keep trying to hit the nail in the hope of actually hitting the nail someday. थोड़ा सा करता हूँ मैं, वो मेरे को है मेरे में वो. So if there is a show brief, I made sure for 3-4 months at least, 4 months तक ये चला है. I made sure that every PPT that went had a big idea in it. Okay. Ab client wanted only posts. Now clients are also not honest about this expectation. No? They will never say that we don't want ideas, but they will never approve ideas because actually what they want are only 10 posts. Okay. वो नहीं बोलेगा नहीं वो. So for 6 months, I kept pushing the team to present ideas. And then I only realized that this client is never going to, they don't need this, right? That is what I learned that. And that is why it's in there, because I learned it on a brand that not every brand wants to do things. In our intent to do things, we end up pushing our teams, we're pushing ourselves and stuff like that. But वो करते नहीं है, and leads to a lot of creative wastage. I would have then at Together, now this is many years back, that is what I learned, that not every client wants to do it. But at Together, we are very realistic. Like the client needs to prove to us that they want to do it rather than the other way around. They will have to show signs of intent. हमें बताओ क्यों तुम्हें ये चाहिए? What is it that you want from this? That is why the expectations need to be managed. हम लोग बहुत clearly पूछते हैं कि तुम लोगों को क्या चाहिए? तुम लोगों को सिर्फ 5 पोस्ट चाहिए, we don't mind doing 5 पोस्ट, दे देंगे हम लोग तुम लोगों को. But don't tell me that you need a 360 and then take only 5 posts, because what we do is the first one, no? Most of the Together clients are friends only. So the first one is always at Together. It's always like कि आपको जो चाहिए चलो let's come to a conclusion. After 2-3 briefs, no, we start figuring out that they need only this, but they say this. And then we start reducing the number of projects that we take from them. Or we start charging pitch fees and stuff like that. So वो सब होता है. We make it more difficult. So they end up giving us very sharp requirements. All this is applicable because this is my own shop and ये सब अपने घर में ये सब अच्छा लगता है. छोटे से घर में अच्छा लगता है. Big places like networks and stuff like that, this doesn't work. But I'm hoping that most people here are from those kind of systems, so I can openly, candidly talk about all this also. So, yeah.
That's true. Yeah, I think we can move on, Aalap, and maybe pick up some more questions as you know.
I think there is another question here.
Yes, there is.
How to make sure that all the team members are aligned with the brief as perception of all team members. This comes on the manager. This is the manager. The manager on the creative end, the manager on the client end, manager on the servicing end, sub end पे ना managers पे होता है. I make sure that everyone that is on the brief attends the briefing call. Okay, because the lesser people that attend, the more people they will end up asking questions in a separate conversation. Like side में कोई conversation हो रही होगी ना, उसमें they'll start acting questions. Get everyone on a Teams call, brief everyone. Okay, junior most से लेके senior most तक. Everyone gets briefed at the same time. Everyone discusses everything there. Brief appreciation में a lot of the creative team is there. They will ask their questions. इतने करने के बाद ना, I have not found any case where everyone's not aligned to a singular task. जब आप brief की thinking से पहले इतना invest कर देते हो ना, most people will be on the same page. उसके बाद तो थोड़ा तो 10-15% ऑफ क्रिएटिव में होगा कि थोड़ा लेफ्ट राइट जाता है. इट्स अ क्रिएटिव प्रोसेस, बट more or less this is what the starting of it puts you on a page that is acceptable by everyone. फिर बस deliver करना है. So spending time before the brief is very important for the delivery to happen. Yeah.
True.
There. एक और कुछ आया कुछ और आया?
No,
Thank you. Okay.
it's-
ठीक है. I've run a little over time than I figured, so I'll run the next section थोड़ा faster. छोटा सा workshop. I think Q&A के time we can use. We've already used. So okay. So workshop. You guys can see the screen, right?
Yeah. Yes, we can.
Yeah. Okay. So workshop and thinking. So we will see a brief in this section and try to guess the creative that would be created from it. This is all released work, and if you've seen it, then it's a very fairly easy thing for you to do. But if you've not seen it, then just try to apply yourself to what would the task be, right? Like the brief understanding. This one example is on understanding the brief. Colin, which is a glass cleaner, the task is to increase the share of voice, not sales, share of voice. Okay. The insight is that housewives are primary decision makers. And interestingly, this is why the insight was good, was that interestingly, the maids also have a say in what cleaning product is used in the house. सबसे पहले housewives, and then there is no one else. सीधा maid पे आता है. Maid will say that use this, use that, and the housewives will end up getting influenced because those are normally the second level users of the product also. Okay. Digital film करनी है and modern housewives को करनी है. Cities में only, like tier 1 cities, tier 2 cities maximum. That is the kind of brief that we received. I want to spend a bit on this part where if you guys think that let's discuss कि इसका creative क्या हो सकता है. Okay, let me also discuss कि what are the challenges. Like one challenge is if housewives are important and maids are also important, it's a very diverse, problematic combination because they share a love-hate relationship. If you understand, in a house, there are either wives or homemakers getting the maid to do extra work or the work that they're not doing and stuff like that, and they're screaming. And that is one part of our universe that is always kind of rubbing against each other, right? And the house, but the maids are also, their primary bosses are reporting managers per se, are homemakers, which are wives. तो इन दोनों को खुश रखने का एक सिंगुलर पॉइंट ऑफ कॉन्टैक्ट ना इज नॉट very clear. So we spend a lot of time on how to address these two groups in one communication. Okay. बहुत सारी thinking, बहुत सारे brief appreciation के बाद we came to a point where we realized that in a behavioral way, housewives in amongst their peers wants to be perceived as someone who is a modern woman's reflection. There is a modern woman that they see on TV and content and stuff like that. In their kitty party, for example, they want to be the one that got the app installed first. मैं तो Paytm already use कर रही हूँ to make payments while every other woman is still doing cash. They like to be that person. हम लोग तो अब ट्रैवल एजेंट के पास नहीं जाते हैं, हम लोग तो मेक माई ट्रिप से ही बुक कर लेते हैं. Is someone that they want to be. Okay, while the rest of them, so they then become opinion leaders. So now within this halo, also things like my daughter is going to go to London to study economics. also comes in that thing. So basically, opinion leaders to something modern is something that they liked to be. That is a behavior that we found interesting. They want to become opinion leaders. Okay. Housewives on the maids on the other hand have constantly always felt that they are exploited. Now that is a debatable thing. They feel that they're undervalued and underpaid and over abused. They might be putting in the work, might not be putting in the work. That is irrespective of that, they feel that they are like that. Okay. Undervalued, over abused, over abused. When I say abused in terms of work and things, not in terms of actual abuse, but they feel that they are not appreciated enough. Okay. Now that led to a point which was एक हाउसवाइफ को ओपिनियन लीडर बनना है एंड एक मेड जो अंडर वैल्यूड फील करती है. ओके, दिस इज व्हाट created the balance for this the ad that I'm going to play, and it's done wonders for Colin. It's been one of the best campaign in their internal ratings and stuff like that. Colin is a legacy brand, Reckitt hai, so getting some things like this out from them is also very important. अब कैसे इन दोनों को खुश रखना है so that the next time they want to buy a glass cleaner, the maid says Colin, the housewife says of course Colin, and then Colin comes in home is the task. Okay, there are no sales. One thing very important to know is it's just share of voice on digital. You cannot do this kind of a thing if you need to move like some 50 bottles of Colin in the next 1 week. 500 bottles of Colin. ये sales piece नहीं है, ये share of voice piece है. They just wanted to become a part of conversations, right? इसीलिए ये this brief also is good. I'm saying this because the next time Reckitt actually came to us with a after this, Reckitt came to us with saying that, hey, we have a sales creative. Can we do something like what you did for Colin? We refused. We created something new for them, which is more sales based. So the difference is also important. So this is what got created out of this brief. I'll just play a piece. Give me 1 minute.
इसको मेरे में से ब्रॉडकास्ट कर दो, 6-7 मिनट तक ब्रॉडकास्ट कर. आपने इसमें नहीं दिख रहा है
ये जहर ना मैं सिर्फ तेरे लिए पी रही हूँ. कप्सला. अच्छा जी, घर तो सही चमक रहा है तेरा. Obviously. Thank you. एक और कप दे दो. Sure. किसके लिए? मालती के लिए. कहाँ है उसका कप? तेरे सामने. हाँ? सेम. सेम. चमक तेरे घर में ही नहीं, तेरी सोच में भी है. मालती. जिनके घर कॉलिन से चमकते हैं, उनकी सोच भी चमकती है.
Basically, what we have done here, is can't get stop sharing. Did you guys see? Was the screen sharing? You guys saw the?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I'll stop sharing. So what we did here essentially was we gave the housewife a way to a chance to shine. Yes, I think Sanjay sir, you're saying something?
Yeah. No.
Okay. I was saying that the creative makes for a chance for the housewife to shine. Okay, in her peers she's saying that अब ये जो कप अलग है, जो मेड का एक पुराना कप रहता है, ये सबके घर में होता है, like उनके घर में भी है. We asked them to let that cup go. They went into a like I say a kitty party. I say what I mean is any kind of social setting. And they said that यार मैं तो believe करती हूँ that ये कप हटा देना चाहिए because वो लोग भी तो इंसान है ना. खुश हाउसवाइफ कि मैंने जाके 5 लोगों को एक ओपिनियन लीडर स्टांस लेके दिखाया. The maids are happy because आज तक किसी ने कुछ करा ही नहीं हमारे लिए. ये वो लोग भी बोले कि हाँ ये जो कप है ये हमारा अलग रहता है, ये तो गलत बात है. हो सकता है किसी ये प्रॉब्लम एग्जिस्ट करती थी. इट इज अ सटल वे ऑफ कास्टिज्म ओनली कि हम लोग एक कप अलग रखते हैं, टूटा फूटा सेम कप. I believe that it's just come to us from our parents or our elders or something. ऐसा कोई सोच के कप नहीं रखता है. But the beauty of this was that the second you say this, no, everyone thought that oh fuck मेरे घर में oh shit मेरे घर में भी एक कप है, मैं उसको निकाल देता हूँ. मैं क्यों करता हूँ? I'm not that person, right? On a lot of levels, this addresses everyone's intentions, but on the TG's level, the housewife is shining and the maid feels valued. The share of voice for Colin shot through the roof over this. The share of voice on social तो ठीक है, sales have increased because now maids are also saying कि ये करो. All of this is possible because we've spent 2 weeks on this brief before even started working. हम लोगों ने इतने questions और इतना dissection of the brief करा है. Like we've gone back after we've been briefed. The brief इसके ऊपर some 2-3 brief appreciation sessions have happened. कि हम लोग सिर्फ brief की बात करेंगे आज. Let's get on a call and let's just discuss the brief. हमें पास और चीजें हैं. We have some observations. We kept going back with कि and no, I'm saying that the creative thinking has not even started. And then we delivered this exactly according to media requirements, everything, optimizing everything. Like there it's a reason why it starts with ये जहर तेरे लिए पी रही हूँ because 10 seconds important है. वो सब build in कर दिया. So the reach of the campaign also increased. But also the plan of this was and the appreciation of this was what made it very interesting. I wanted to share this because it was a very tricky brief for us to work on, and it's the brief appreciation questions that made this one come alive. This could have come out in a million bad versions of itself also. So वो है. Just wanted to share it because it's an interesting space to be in. एक और है. It's 12:11. I think another 4 minutes and I'll wrap my session so that 15 minutes में we can think of any other questions. एक second. Just last one I will play. Just give me a second. कहाँ गया PPT? Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. Then this, just look at this piece. I'll just play this piece. I won't talk about it. I want to discuss the brief for it after you look at the piece, because that this also happens. Like ये थोड़ा सा move हो गया था from
BGMI X suits are limited edition skins
we can't see it.
which come with outfits, weapons.
Sorry?
We can't see it.
You can't.
We are still seeing the.
I think we can't see it.
Okay.
Your screen was shared, but we were seeing the meeting, Zoom meeting, not the video.
Okay. Just give me a minute. Maybe some sharing issues. Can you guys see it now?
Yes, I think. Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
BGMI X suits are limited edition skins inside the game which come with outfits, weapons and signature moves. They are won by opening paid crates.
They are magical. Oh, so awesome. But oh, so pricey. Almost 1.1 lakh rupees. But only the lucky 8% get it.
कितना डेंजर डिसीजन था.
So, how did we increase sales by almost 200%? By using reverse psychology.
Reverse psychology is when you ask someone to do something by suggesting they do the opposite.
Presenting Don't Care to Share, Indian gaming's first anti-influencer campaign. We hired Jonathan and Dynamo the biggest gaming influencers in India, for films to sell the X suits. By deselling them. So instead of making the ads, they started sabotaging it.
I'm not doing this.
They planned for the shoot to fail.
इतने cool है, लेकिन अगर shoot ही नहीं होगा तो दुनिया को कैसे पता चले?
But their worst efforts made BGMI fans want the X suits even more. The campaign was a huge hit. 900 million impressions, 500 million views, 250% increase in click-through rate, 40% cost efficiency in CPMs, leading to 2 times the largest sales for the X suit. That's a gazillion rupees. And it became the talk of the town. Hashtag don't care to share. Indian gaming's first anti-influencer campaign.
So I'll also share quickly. I'll share the brief for this. So the task was to sell the X suits. The average sale, average spend that a user does on digital games right now is 7.5 to 10,000 rupees maximum average. This is for 1.1 lakh, the most expensive. Okay, property that Battleground Mobile, PUBG, erstwhile PUBG had to offer. And insight was that gamers are rebellious. They feel that they are rebels without a cause, with a cause at sometimes. One digital film needed to be made, and the TG was an 18-year-old BGMI enthusiast. Okay, 18 to 25. Now, let me just give me a second. This, the brief appreciation, is something that that took 1 week. ओके बहुत एक्सपेंसिव प्रॉपर्टी है, लोगों के पास पैसे ही नहीं है, ये लोग खरीद क्यों रहे हैं, ऑल दैट जैज वाज हैपनिंग. वी डिसाइडेड ऑन सेइंग दैट ओके people are needed to convince. So first the thing was that people are needed to convince. So let's, if you guys want to use a influencer, use kar lo. Okay, we spend a week on figuring out the tonality of how they will sell it, the influencers. And Jonathan and Dynamo, if any one of you plays PUBG, Jonathan and Dynamo are like the biggest influencers. सबसे बड़े, like they are the Amitabh Bachchan and Shah Rukh Khan of BGMI universe, which is a huge universe. उनको यूज करेंगे, ठीक है, जॉनथन को ले लेंगे, डायनामो को ले लेंगे, मजा आएगा. एंड वी विल गेट देम टू से दिस टू सेल द सूट. ओके, देयर वाज एन अलाइनमेंट मेड, बहुत अच्छा था. They were selling it like some regular campaign and whatever. Either one of them was going to be there. One of the two was going to be there. During the creative process, we realized that them selling the suits will be just another activity, just another campaign, just another way, and it might get lost in the sea of things. Okay. The plan to never make them desell it was even a part of the brief conversation. During the creative process, we discussed कि अरे यार अगर ये लोग मना करेंगे तो लोग कैसे react करेंगे. Okay, it was completely, so at some level I'm saying that we wasted a lot of time deciding कि ये लोग कैसे बोलेंगे, but we ended up changing all of it when we actually made the campaign, and it was actually more successful. This reverse psychology bit of it कि ये लोग बोल रहे हैं, ये करेंगे, ऐसे बोलेंगे, this is what they will say, this is something that we discussed. We ended up doing something exactly opposite, and it's one of the biggest campaigns from BGMI. For a 1 lakh property to sell on a digital game is big. Usko 200-300% than the target is even bigger. Exactly what I was trying to say in the previous slides, that what I'm sharing right now is not a short way of solving the problem. It is about problem नहीं बोलूँगा, problem is a negative word, the challenge that we face in our work every day, there are ways to handle them better. Okay, like in the first case, the brief appreciation and the entire process I discussed led to a tricky brief being delivered as a good product. The second one is the brief appreciation and the conversation leading to a point which was never used. So I'm saying that nothing in what I'm saying is short. They are just ways to handle them better. There are more instances of the first example that I have in my working life where the brief appreciation actually, that's like 90% of the time it works. Hence I've stuck to it and I am sharing it also. But 10% of the time it doesn't also. That's when you realize that अरे सब कुछ तो it's not that predictable. That 100% तो नहीं होने वाला. So that is why I wanted to also sell the last one in terms of कि देखो ऐसा भी होता है. हम लोग बातें करके फिर कुछ भी फॉलो भी नहीं करते हैं. होता है क्रिएटिव प्रोसेस में होता है. So that's me, guys. That's the last one. I think if we want to have some 10 minutes of any questions, something, then let's do that.
Yeah, I think we do have some time. Everyone, if we have any questions, either you can post on the chat or you can ask. Turn your camera on and ask. Very rightly said, Aalap, that there can't be a formula, specifically
Yeah.
when we call this a creative space. But yeah, so if you know the basics, then probably you can, navigate through all the challenges that come. One thing that really, again, that really stayed with me from what you said was, protecting the soul of the idea. So this happens because an idea goes through so many people, so many layers, etc. And often creatives do feel that ये नहीं है जो मैंने सोचा था वो नहीं हुआ, right? So and I think you took it up both ways that you should not be too rigid and for everything, but at the same time, if you protect the core, then broadly you are through. So that was very, very solid insight, I think.
Correct. Don't try to win all the battles. Just fight for that one and then just win that one. Try to, and वो ऐसा भी होता है ना that you let 5 things go which are not affecting the soul ना. Then सामने वाले को भी लगता है that they have won the important ones and then everyone is in a much better space. सब चीजों पे लड़ाई होगी, सब चीजों पे लड़ाई करने की जरूरत ही नहीं है. Just fight for the thing that is important. Like choose your battles.
Correct.
बहुत ही
Yeah, absolutely. I think Rikin has a questions.
Yeah.
How do you train team to crack right communications or creatives for routine or small jobs?
See, वो is okay. Like I'll tell you how I do it. When so one, I think you have to set an example of the quality. Okay, there is a quality that we will never go below. इससे खराब हम लोग नहीं करेंगे. This is the bare minimum. It might not be the bare minimum standards of the world. हो सकता है उससे ऊपर ही घूम रहे होगा उनका bare minimum हो सकता है most agency ever realizes कि उनसे नीचे ही रहता है जितना हम लोग अपना आपको प्रेशर डालते हैं. And then train them. That is what I'm saying. No, I do it on all this. No, I do it on a small scale. So I train them over different briefs, like 5 briefs, 10 briefs. Mein na, everyone in the team starts getting a hang of it. So over time, they will start. I keep sharing good examples on a group. Like say, for example, small jobs. When I say that I'm looking at hygiene posts, okay, I follow all my clients that we signed up or we do campaigns for. Okay. I don't pull the team up, but I keep a look at the work. That क्या जा रहा है, कैसे जा रहे हैं, आर्ट कहीं पे बेटर हो सकता था. ओवर टाइम ना थोड़े थोड़े दिनों में मैं भी आता रहता हूँ कभी कभी स्मॉल जॉब्स में कि चलो थोड़ा सा हाइजीन करते हैं. आई ऑल्सो लाइक टू बी इन्वॉल्व बिकॉज नहीं तो मैं भूल जाऊंगा कैसे हाइजीन करना है. सो दैट इज द ओनली वे टू डू इट. देयर इज नो short way of making sure that all the posts go out. The quantity is so much, no, that You can't make that. Like, we have to stop looking at every piece of small jobs, at least. Hygiene content is a shining example. सारी चीजों पे हो जाएगा, ये तो होने ही नहीं वाला है. Choose the ones that are important and just get those right is something that I believe in. And then you keep sharing example, keep pushing quality. धीरे धीरे हो जाता है.
True. I think you also mentioned earlier that don't expect कि first go में बड़ा brief आएगा. So it's very critical in these small jobs you maintain the base level of work that you mentioned.
Yeah. Also, what happens is this also I've realized over time that the small job, build a reputation for you to get the big job. वो जो hygiene, and this is a two-sided sword. Basically, if you're doing hygiene well, a client will be more comfortable in giving you the hero campaign. Okay. If you do the hero well, no. Say for example, there are associations जहाँ पे hygiene अच्छा जा रहा है, इसीलिए हमें hero मिल गया. Okay. ऐसा भी हुआ है कि hygiene अच्छा नहीं जा रहा था, इसीलिए hero नहीं भी मिला. They will go to some other agency, but they are deciding the perception of it. It's the same person that you're talking, no, on the client end. वही client है. Those people are saying that अरे मैं इन लोगों के साथ पूरा दिन struggle करता हूँ 4 posts बनाने के लिए, ये लोग पूरा campaign क्या बनाएंगे, right? And the other thing is other way is also applicable कि अरे इन लोगों के साथ बहुत अच्छा रहता है, let's give them a hero campaign also this year का. Both are there. That is why small jobs are very important. People tend to ignore them. We either don't take it only. मैं तो मना करता हूँ कि अगर deliver नहीं कर सकते हो ना तो लो ही नहीं. It's okay if we let the revenue go. But if a client is expecting big ideas from us and we screw it up in small jobs, no, let the social retainer go. We'll just do big ideas even if it means less revenue. At least the client is still believing in us. ये हम लोग deliver भी नहीं कर पाएंगे और सब पोस्ट गड़बड़ होंगे उस चक्कर में, जितना रिलेशनशिप है, everything goes for a toss. I can do it. That's what I'm saying is it's everything is not applicable. I can do it because agency नहीं है, team छोटी है, we are still growing and all that jazz. But might not be applicable to most people. But that's just how I handle it.
True. You've been part of larger teams also. So
तब मेरे सब नहीं होता था, इसीलिए तो बार-बार बोल रहा हूँ मैं. All this wasn't there जब मैं network में था. That is why I left networks. Like I was there heading Dentsu. There were some 600 people in my team. ये सब नहीं कर पाता था मैं. मैंने कहा क्या कर रहा हूँ मैं, ये छोटा सा टीम, do it well.
Amazing. Sanjay sir, we almost up in our deadline.
We are fortunate to have Mr. Umesh Dixit, the Executive Director of Ahmedabad Management Association, with us. And he is there, so he would like to share this vote of thanks.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sanjay bhai, the brand guru of Ahmedabad and now connecting globally also. Thank you very much, Aalap bhai, Chirag bhai, everybody. It has been a fortunate moment that Brand Club and AMA, we both are doing this since 2 years. And there is a good learning and knowledge sharing session. There are good some words which are coming out as per my experience. This couple of examples which you have put it from 600 team members to a shorter team, and then the hero of communication to the hygiene of the ad and the processes and kind of thing. So thank you very much. I'm sure these learnings will go a long way for all the members who have joined. And thank you very much once again, Sanjay bhai, for being with us at AMA.
Always. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank
you so much, Aalap.
Aalap bhai, please do come at AMA whenever you are in Ahmedabad. You are our guest. I and Sanjay bhai will host you. Of course, Chirag bhai, you are here only, but you also join us. And everybody who are there from out of Ahmedabad, do join us at AMA physically to see the campus.
I will for sure.
Yeah. So Aalap, thank you so much for being there, and we feel connected when you speak from the agency point of view. राइट? एक एक चीज आपको लगता है कि हम ये सब चीजों से गुजर रहे हैं, राइट चिराग?
हमारा दर्द कोई शेयर कर रहा है।
दर्द को शेयर कर, हम सिर्फ गुजरात में नहीं, पूरे दुनिया में है, ऐसा है ना?
सबके प्रॉब्लम सेम है,
एक ही चीज।
सबके प्रॉब्लम सेम है।
जी जी, चलो, थैंक यू सो मच, थैंक यू चिराग,
Thank you, Aalap.
an
It's
honor
been wonderful.
all your time on Sunday. So
Yes.
good, right? Thank you and keep in touch.
Yes.
Right. So we have the next session at 2 o'clock with Vijay Vikram Singh talking about Express to Impress about voiceover. So be there, everyone. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Sanjay sir. Bye.
Aalap.